Part of my job is to help inspire you to be more creative with your eco breeds. So let's say you want to have a goat that eats corn that you have to grow from seed and water to take care of the corn and grow it, otherwise it turns brown and dies. Well, this is a very simple scenario. It only took me, I'd say, about 45 minutes to an hour to set this all up, including bringing the textures in and setting it up on in the individual scripts and creating a little extension for a little some functionality here and there, as well as intra-species communication. But as you can see, the corn grows, and when it reaches a certain age, it produces corn, which we can touch to harvest, and it will fill up the troughs. Keep your eye on the troughs as it starts to add more and more corn to it as we click to harvest it. Now, if we don't water in here, the ground will dry up. This is just a little prim here to show the current water levels, just as if you were to have like a food prim that showed food levels. It resizes down into the earth, so it makes it look like the water is receding. And like I said, if it dries up and there's no food available for the corn, they dry up and turn brown. I sped this whole scenario up so that I can show you what the simulation looks like at a faster pace. But I'll show you how I got started. First, I created a simple corn stalk here with an individual prim and a transparent texture. And what I did is I went into the settings mode, created its own unique channel, and set my name. This is a parent breed. They do need a lifespan to go from 0 to 20 years old, and that's only 20 minutes in time. We have 10 growth stages, and I found the best growth stage, the best scale was 30%. That's 1.3, so that's 30% growth each time, and it starts as a very small sapling down like at that size. Okay. And so about 10 minutes into it, it reaches its final growth stage and allows it to produce corn, which it changes the texture to show the corn on the stalk. It does need a hunger so that it consumes the water that's in the that's in the plant beds. And I made it so that it lost small amounts of hunger percent every minute, because it's going to consume water every minute, 1 to 2 units. It doesn't breed, it doesn't reproduce. I didn't want it to do that. I wanted people to buy the seed, to plant the seed. So what I did is, now that this is done, and it doesn't use any skins because it's always the same texture, the default texture. So it starts off with just this plain seedling at a very small size, grows to full size, and when it reaches a certain age, produces these corn, which it gives the user 10 minutes to before it dies. It gives it 10 minutes to harvest the corn to feed the goats. Okay, so that was a simple setup for the corn itself. We simply just took all the default scripts, dropped them in there, changed a few settings. I made this really small, and I put them inside of a little seed package. And in this seed package, I just made a simple little script based on the unpackaging script that I created for where is it? My plugin repository for unboxing. I just took a simple little script like this, which just reses a few objects in the vicinity, and just made a few alterations, such as giving it a set text when the script starts, so it tells the person to touch to plant the seed. But when it's touched, it will res 4 seeds and 4 different locations. So basically around the main object. So 25 meters off in this direction. I'm sorry, 25, a quarter of a meter in in all 4 corners. And then once it reses all 4, it removes the seed from the inventory, and then the object dies. That's just a security and feature, security feature that just makes it a lot more easier for you to visualize and sell the seed. That's just a one-time plant it to grow it kind of thing. So now what we have here is these reached their maximum age. So they're past their age, and they were set to die. So they died. They weren't harvested fast enough, so they turned brown. And what we have here in the plant bed, that's our action object. And the action object is very simple. Just think of it as a food bowl that has a food prim in it that would be the water prim here, which I made it just a sculpted apple because it's got a nice contour to it. So when it does resize, it kind of looks like this. And what I did here was I changed the settings on this. I took away the hover text. I'm matching the same channel as the corn stalks. It doesn't need to be rebuilt or breed. I started it off with a food level of 50 units with just 1% unit, and a very simple action class. This right here is all the functionality needed to do all of the growing and harvesting, as well as watering it and showing all of those effects as far as it producing the corn. So what we've got here, just to go from the very beginning, this will be supplied in the plugin repository on the website. In the start event, it sets a custom property to dead of false. This is going to allow us to determine whether it is or isn't harvested or dead already. What we got here is we're setting a timer of 20 seconds to check to see if it's reached maturity, so we can set the corn on the stalks. We have a touch event here, which allows the owner to touch it to harvest it, which supplies the food trough for the goats. And this simple add-on, which is available in the plugin repository, which is, like I said, similar to the food bowl, where it resizes the food prim based on the amount of food, and our food in this case is just simply water, and the visual representation is a transparent type of prim, just coloration to show that it's wet. Okay, when food is consumed, it raises the food event, which again will trigger the custom method food level to set this food prim. We have the bud set event, which we have on the timer, that sets a filter. If the age is 10, then it will allow the filter to pass, and it will set a prim animation to bud set, which is where it shows the corn on the stalk. And I simply set the bud set animation in here in my eco breeds. In the corn species that I created, we have brown. This is when it turns brown, so you can see that when it's dead, in the dead event, it sets it to brown and turns the property to true, which that basically disables you from harvesting dead plants. Now, what we also have in here is the bud set, which again is the texture for setting for the main prim, all sides. It's the texture that has the corn on it. Okay, so let's go back into here, and we have a simple little harvest event that we are toggling when the owner touches it. And so if it'll allow two different filters. A filter if my age is greater than 9, which means it's already budded, it already has its flowers, or it's the corns are on the stalk. And then another filter if dead's not false. So if dead is false, it'll allow both of these filters to be passed, and we'll have another custom method. And in this custom method, it's triggered within the action extension that I created for this. Now this first half of this here, first part, the food level is, like I said, very similar to the from the plugin repository, the food resizer that you see here, which resizes the food prim. And we have I just added a few more stages so that it grows and shrinks a little more. And while I'm explaining this, I'm going to res yet another package of seeds so you can see them growing from the beginning. So I res the package of seeds, I click on that, it plants the seeds, and they start off as little seedlings and they start to grow from there. And back to here now. Let's see, we had the fill trough, right? Well, the fill trough, I wanted to just to speak to the alternate object, so I just had it so it said on a special channel to harvest. So when I click on it, it tells the trough, which is over here, that a harvest was done, and in here it simply listens for that command, and when it hears that command, it adds 10 points to 10 units to the food level of the trough, and toggles a set level event, which in here, I hope I'm not losing you on this, when it sets the level, it just basically does the same as when food is consumed. It just readjusts the food level. For this though, I went a little further. Instead of just showing individual showing just an individual prim that resizes, I have, if you could see here, quite a few pieces of corn that will be hidden or shown when the levels are at a certain point. So if it's more than 80, it'll show all these prims. If it's only if it's less than 40 but greater than 30, it'll only show this many, and so on. It'll be empty if there's no corn or no food levels to be shown. So that was just a simple little add-on. And as you watch these grow, and I'll add a few more so you can see how it sucks up the water here. When I click on this, it raises the corn, they grow, and you'll see the food the water level recede. So basically, just going through the action object, almost down to the bottom. So when it fills the trough, it also toggles the remove event, which kills the breed. And then we also have a very simple addition, and that's the watering can. The watering can doesn't need any settings at all, meaning rebuild, breeding, and food level is all at false. There's no action events in the class list. It's just on the same channel as the rest of the breed content, and I named the object water. So when I click on the water, it toggles the touch name water event, which is defined in the that would be events and callbacks. If you look in here, you'll see that there's customizable action touch events where you have touch name and then the name of the prim or the description of the prim or the link number of the prim that you've touched. This is extremely helpful for creating multiple prim objects such as HUDs where you have buttons, or other objects where you want buttons to give functionality, but very specific functionality. This, however, is just the name of the main object, so when I touch the main object it'll trigger this, but that's being triggered in the main food plant bed. So it toggles this water garden event method here, I'm sorry, that we have defined in the action extension, where it sets the food level so basically increases the water level by 10 points, and it sets a it toggles it so that it readjusts the prim if necessary. Okay, so we've gone over all the functionality here. This would be the set level, like I said, same as when you have when food is consumed in the native food event. But setting this up was extremely simple. All I did was I created these little guys here, set the settings in the breed object. I took a copy and I put it into a package of corn, and inside the package of corn it just reses the 4 of them out and deletes itself, and they start off in their growth cycle. So that's the complete simulation set up in just very few lines of code, and all of these extensions and any modifications, basically all the settings that I configured, will be on the plugin repository, and now we have a growable food source for our goats. And this could be a wide variety of different simulations, and this is just an example to give you an idea that you can grow food to feed another animal. This could also be all automated so that when it reaches its maturity it automatically fills, or it doesn't need water, or you can add, instead of just water, you can have a fertilization solution which provides more nutrients and faster growth. You can inhibit growth if you perhaps maybe you have a well that you have to retrieve water from, that if you can run it through a purifier to make it better, or add fertilizer. There's just so many different ways you can tackle a simulation like this. This just gives you an idea that yes, this is possible, and yes, I will show you how to do it. So you'll see more advanced simulations coming up in the next few tutorials. Stay tuned.